Right then people, so we are back out again. I'm feeling 100%, so big up the tube and all that. Thanks for subscribing guys, the channel's doing really well. Yeah, so if it's your first time tuning in, you know what to do. Smash all the buttons below and hopefully we'll get you a few fish out today. So, right, rig wallet, actually, rushing ahead of myself a little bit. Obviously it's a midweek madness. Come down again, out for a ray. Conditions are perfect for it. There's colour in the water. Got a bit of a sea on, nice and dirty, and yeah, we've got about 4 hours left of the incoming tide, and then going to fish the last 3 down. So fishing till about 9 o'clock tonight. So yeah, buzzing for it. We've got about 6, maybe 7 hours of fishing, depending on whether the fish stay around. Hopefully we can get one out, but most of all, we can get a blonde. We've been putting a lot of effort in, and not yet been rewarded with a blonde. We've had a lot of fish along the way, which I'm very happy about. We have had a few blanks as well, but unfortunately that's fishing. Can't catch them all the time. So, right, we get these rods together, go for a quick bait up. What baits we're using? Obviously Wriggler's Finest, you know how we do. And hopefully, the conditions look great. Andy Webb is with me. He's on the point again. I prefer the bait, but yeah, see if we can get us a few fish out. Right, I'm gonna get set up and I'll bring you back in a bit. Right guys, right, as promised, I am back, and there we have half a sardine, half a mackerel, half a squid. Obviously Wriggler's Finest. If you haven't been watching and you don't know yet, if you use Onlyfins 15 at Wriggler's Bait, wrigglers.com, you'll get 15% off of all your order, plus there's no minimum spend. So yeah, make the most of it. If you're going to put a big order in, or if you're going to put any order in with Wriggler's Baits, Onlyfins 15, and that gets you 15% off, no minimum spend. So you might as well take advantage of it. And there you go, that's the baits I'm going to be using today. I don't know if you can see very well. I know the sun's being a bit annoying, but hopefully that will spin round in a minute. But I can't pan you around too far, otherwise you'll know exactly where I am. And yeah, I'll lose all my fishing. I will let you, later on in the year, you know, we'll let you know where I am and stuff. But at the minute, I'm enjoying it. There's only a few of us coming down. And yeah, we get to come down and we know it's going to be empty. So we've got the other half here. Obviously we've got pulley panels on both rods. Pair of size 5s as always, because they're my favourite. But the same thing guys, I know some people like to make smaller baits and stuff like that, but you know, most of the fish, well, all the fish I had here the other day were well over 5 pounds, so you know, the mouths aren't that small. Obviously the coloration in the water today is very dirty. There is a bit more weed today, which could be an issue. But yeah, we've got the swells building, so hopefully it gets worse and worse through the night, dirtier and dirtier. But when it's dirty and stuff like that, I like to use big smelly baits, and hopefully they'll get me on the fish faster. Obviously when it's clear and stuff, there you go, I'm not going to edit it out. But yeah, when it's clear and stuff, obviously I like to use sand eel, just because I think that's the bait they prefer, and that's probably what they're in here looking for. But you know, it's coloured water, so I wasn't saying that they're going to be able to get a good scent trail and just home in on it and smash it. So yeah, I'm going to get them on the rods now. 2 pulley panels, pair of size 5s. Let's see what we can do in a bit. Gosh, welcome back people. Obviously Andy's popped over to see you. Huh? Do
you know how to trim it?
What, from the side?
Yeah, from the start and that.
Yeah.
See, alright, start again.
Bosh, right guys, Andy's joined us for a quick minute. I've got the rods out, obviously tide's coming in, conditions are perfect, so feeling really confident. Wind could drop a little bit, but you know, you can't have everything your way.
Wind's good at the moment though, really, isn't it?
Yeah, if you want to
got an inshore breeze, which is hopefully with the big tide that we got at the moment, it's going to start lifting.
Blowing it up a bit, blowing it up a little bit.
Now, obviously you come down here last time.
Yeah.
How much different is the sea today than it was when you come down originally? So what time did you get down here last time?
I didn't get down here last time till about 5 5 o'clock, 6
So
o'clock.
you got 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. What time was high tide at the time?
High tide was 10 o'clock at night.
10 o'clock at the time. Nice. So you were probably 2 hours after low water, basically.
Yeah, about the same.
Similar to what we are today.
Yeah.
So when you first got down here last time, conditions-wise, for what you've got here today, how would you
Very
find
similar, very similar.
Was the water more coloured, or was the water like it's cloudy? It's all coloured.
The water was cloudy like this, and then obviously as the wind did swing around a little bit, but as the tide come in, the reason why I didn't pick up where you are is obviously because it started coming up here quite early. So I come up here, and then as it was coming in, then it started frothing up out there. That dark water started coming in a bit more, and just fished its tits off.
Fished its tits off. Well, I'd like to see it a little bit more bringing, gathering up. I'd like to see the colour of the water go a little bit more coloured. That at the moment is a bit cloudy, really, but if you look out to sea, Connor, you look out 400 yards or so, you can see it starting to jack up. So basically that's where the reef starts. Right. So that's basically breaking off the reef and lifting the sea. So as the water starts coming over the top of that now, obviously that will start getting fiercer and fiercer and fiercer, and hopefully you get some big massive waves coming in.
Well, there you go.
Obviously what that's doing at the moment is obviously turning the sand up, and then once the sand turns up, for those that don't know, now especially on this coast, you go to Bristol Channel, everything's coloured, so you haven't got to rely on sight, everything's done on scent. Where down here, everything's a lot to do with scent and obviously sight, because it's clear water, so the fish can see it. When it's coloured, especially, it's more like the Bristol Channel, so it's more fierce and bright. Now, a lot of the venues we fish for rays in like really like heavy seas, like this isn't as rough as I'd like it. When you look outside, you think, I'm not going outside today. That's the time sometimes to go out, but you've got to know where you're going. I mean, if you were fishing this venue here in those conditions, and I mean like probably 10 to 15 foot swells, which I like at certain venues. I've had swells drifting in before me, and we've turned over thinking we can't fish it, but we've had some of the best reef sessions we've ever had in my life, you know what I mean? There's been times where I remember me and Adam and Chris Egger went to a mark one day. The swells were breaking above our head, but we were side on, so they were sort of like coming in and breaking like through as they were coming through, but they're trying to land the fish, and we landed 2 smaller fish. I hooked into one on the back end of the reef, got it up, stayed deep all the way. Because it stayed deep all the way, it sort of, I couldn't get it up over the swell.
Yeah,
because
so
it was
the swell was dragging it along.
The thing with small lights, guys, when they're small, they stay looking like a small light. As they get older, and I would say around the 11 poundish mark, up 11 poundish mark, it's just approaching the 12 pound mark, they start to go dark. Now, I've seen some really dark small lights. Now, my personal best of 13, very dark fish, but this fish here was very, very dark. All of us agree. Unfortunately, at the time, because of the way the swell was going, it went onto a rock that had a water in between, and I had the choice. I had to try and lift the fish or leave it put. Now, Adam went down as far as he could go, but a swell started to come through. So you landed a fish at that time. You've got to think, I've got to get the fish quickly and get out of the way. I've got the chance of going in, or you let it go. I was a bit gutted, but I'd rather have my mate return back up the rocks than lose both the fish and the mate. You know what I mean? Safety is key aspect in all fishing. And there's been some times where I've tried to do silly things when I've been on my own. I mean, I had a big rond at one mark on my own, and I had it up on the surface, brung it in with a swell and dumped it. Like, it was only from here to here away, and I'm up high at the time. And I was in a position where I had to grab the trace line and go down towards a swell. 2 o'clock in the morning, headlight on, raging sea out there. As I went down halfway down, this swell come in, washed the fish all the way up in the swell. I'm holding on the trace line. I'm having to try and climb back out of the way. I literally missed me on my wellies at the time, and then the fish was gone.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And you've got to, at the time, it's a venue I used to fish a lot because I had some really good fish around there. But you're in a position then where you're on your own at 2 o'clock in the morning, 1:30 in the morning, pitch black with a raging sea. Is it really worth it? After that, I never went back there and done the same thing.
You're just going to lose the fish every
time.
time.
It is. And it's exactly the same as you the other day. You're in rough conditions. Where you're stood at the moment, it can be very dangerous. Do you know why? You're not looking at what's there, you've got to look what's behind you there. Because believe it or not, I've been fishing above where we stood, right, with a friend of mine, and the waves come right over the top of you. Because because the swell's broke there, and you imagine it now. It's quite a big tide tonight.
Yeah.
You imagine with this tide here now, being at this stage and being as rough as this, these breakers are going. They're going to be where we are later.
Yeah.
I mean, you're probably. I'm not sure how far. How far were you up last time?
I was fishing up there.
It was a smaller tide at the time, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It wasn't as big as today.
That was like a free something.
Tiny.
Yeah. 3/8,
So
something like that.
you'll see the difference between spring tides and neap tides where we are today. It's a very good tide for where we are today. The fish tend to move off the reef marks and into the bays to feed. So I'm hoping, I think we've got a chance of the fish. Not now. I think as you go into darkness, it's going to be. But that colour of the water, it does look like it's starting to murky up. Look at the waves coming in here now.
Yeah, they're definitely getting bigger.
It is. But guys, at the same time, the number one aspect of any type of fishing is making sure that you're safe. And as you're doing, Connor come down last time on his own. Obviously, he looked in daylight first and got his whereabouts, and he's obviously had a fantastic session. But it does go to show, especially the dangers that go into this type of fishing, because it can be quite manic at times. But I prefer it like this. It's more adrenaline. You get a fish on the waves coming through. You've got to try and land it.
It's a lot harder to land. You've got to be tactical. You've
Tell
got
him,
to get in the right place.
This is a good little tip he'll give you because he's picked this up himself. This is something a bit different than I do. What were you doing?
I was literally, so basically I was hitting it out, obviously, I was getting slack liners to be fair, I wouldn't even have runs, and then hitting into it, and as I was bringing it in, I was like timing it with the waves, so as I got it down, I call it the sinkhole, that little hole down there.
You hold it there.
So I was guiding it to there, and then as the swell was going down, I was lowering the rod tip, and then as it started to push back up, I was really fast, trying to catch it, and then when it went up, and then dumping it straight on this ledge in front of me, and then waiting for the swell to drop a little bit, and then going down and picking up on the leader.
Very good way of doing it if your fish is staying deep. And obviously, if you're not, me personally, with a sea like this, I want to get it out up there. So I'm going to do whatever it takes to get that fish to the surface. Not all the time, because you get blondes will stay deep, you get small lights will stay deep. If you can't get that fish up, you're gonna have to rely on what you're doing there to get it up over the dump. But if you can get it up, you can basically time it with the swell. So especially if you're fishing over rough ground, you're levering up, you've got it up on the surface, you can see it on the top. But that time there, speed up, just keep that tension, and that fish can stay above the surface. If not, it might go down more, but that second time if you pull it again, it's coming up and up and up.
Yeah. I think the problem I had last time was it wasn't like rough swell like this. It was like, as you see on the video, it was clean as well. So as I was putting it up,
a bit like them at the back there now.
Yeah, they were coming over the top of it.
Yeah.
And then the fish was going down.
Yeah. It's a bit messy, I would describe the sea at the minute, because you've got rollers in there and it's breaking, and it's at that stage of like in between where you're just about to come over the reef marks and get a bit of depth there, and it's a bit all over the place. In a minute, what I think you'll find is you get the rollers just coming in once it just obviously gets a bit of depth over that reef.
Yeah.
But fingers crossed.
Well, anyway, other than that, I've heard you've been making a few rigs bites. Where's my freebies then?
He's had a few. So, personally, I've had a couple of people over the last couple of weeks, and over the years I've had loads of people asking me rigs.
Obviously, you've been showing me how to make them.
Yeah. That's perfect for Connor here now. How have you found, like from when you were doing your rigs originally to what you're doing now?
They're a lot neater, they're tidier, they don't break.
They don't get tangled up.
My traces, I was using like 20-pound line and stuff, and I was losing a few fish.
Yeah.
I lost a few like pull-offs as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're a lot stronger. They're not simple, but they are simple but effective. There's not too much on there.
A lot of people will use the same rig body in the trace line, and what I find when you're using that, it gets a tendency to tangle. So I mean, if you've got the same trace line, you put it back over, especially shot the gear, it's just tying knots and stuff. Where if you've got different rig body, 9 times out of 10 I'll use a higher strength rig body and diameter than I will a trace line.
Yeah.
Just because it'll give you that extra strength. And the good thing about that is, on the rig bodies especially, you can reuse them. You know what I mean? So it's been an odd decision because I a bit like yourself, you work for a living.
Yeah. I wouldn't do it. I don't know.
But because I've had so many messages over the years, and there's quite a few people doing them around now and that, I thought, you know what? I'll do it once for a limited edition for basically the viewers and like the guys.
I want a Cheswick special.
Yeah.
I ain't seen that one yet.
So I'm not going to go into details of the rigs and stuff, but all I'll say is I'm not skimping out on it. I'm not going to Wish. I'm not going to any of the Chinese companies and buying like cheap tactical components. Everything's quality. So like everything I've bought is top quality.
Everything you use is.
Yeah, it is.
I was sitting when I brought mine and just like pulled my end clips
right off.
Them and just
Yeah.
snapped them up.
I find when you're buying cheap, if the way I look at it is, if everybody's got a chance, right? Just, no matter what type of angling you do, if you go down to your nearest sea and you put a bait in the water, you've got a chance of catching a fish of a lifetime, right? It's happened to me many times, and it happened to you many times in your lifetime. You always get that fish, right? Imagine being like Chris was saying the other day, he hits that fish, didn't he? Thought it was a big bass.
Yeah.
It's line snap. The trouble with that is, half the time, is gear. And I want to know, when I go fishing personally, especially when I'm specimen hunting and stuff, that everything stands up to the job. I'm overgun with it, you know what I mean? You'll still catch a fish and stuff. And it's like when we were breaming the other day, we were seeing different people's rigs compared to what your rigs are and stuff like that. Where I know my rigs especially, they'll stand up to it. If I've got to lift the fish, they're not going to break. I can lift a fish out of the water. Exactly the same as where we are today. I know that if I need to, I can lift the fish.
But put it this way, when I had one of my fish on, I was using the one, the up and over you made
running
me.
up and over.
Yeah, and I got it into here, and then the swell dumped the fish there, but it just wouldn't stop. I couldn't get to it.
Yeah.
So I literally had to wind down to it and just lift the whole fish. And
There you
was
go.
like, what, 9 pound 11?
There you go.
Do you know what I mean? And I lifted it over the rocks as well. So
It's
straight
it's
up.
not a small fish, it's a big fish, and he's able to lift it. There's two things: quality in the gear and not tying. The not tying is a limited edition of 500. All right, so I'm doing 100 of each. So yeah, it's been keeping me busy. The worst thing about it, you imagine putting imps in a packet, right?
And
So
you got to snap
I bought
all together.
300 imps because I had 200 already there. So basically, what I've had to do is put them all together. My hands, you can get a little tool. I'm going to buy it next, right? So I've been doing that, but I've been basically bang, just watching the telly and eating with the missus, and just basically, as I'm sitting there, just making rig bodies. I haven't completed them yet, but I've done 17 running up and over rigs. I've done 20 Chesil specials at the moment. I've done 10 for the pulley drop down rig bodies, and I've got the pulley rigs, and I've got the Bristol Channel Reef rigs to do as well. That's what I'm doing for this. So I'm doing 5 different rigs for the limited edition series. First come, first serve. I'm probably going to get some caps made and maybe a couple of t-shirts and stuff to go along with it. If certain people put in a certain amount of order, they get a free cap or a free t-shirt or something like that. Just as a special, guys. Guys, once they're gone, they're gone. I'm not doing it again. And I've known what's happened before. A J-hook, personally, will land fish. They won't, don't get me wrong. But I have had it times over the years. No matter what brand it is, a J-hook is not as strong as a Chinook hook, right? If you get a J-hook, you got a J-hook there?
I have some.
What you can find is, if it's hooked properly and it's all the way up and around and you've got it on the strength of it, it'll be fine. But the trouble is, when you've got it on that end, if it only just picks and you've got it like that, they will pull out, guys, no matter what brand. Any of the brands would do it. I mean, is that a J-hook there? I don't think it is it?
Oh no, I've only got...
Let's have a look. Right, so I'll just take that for a second. You can see the bend in that hook, all right? We won't show the brand, because at the end of the day, they all do it. It's not nothing like that. There's bend there. I can bend it and bend it and bend it out if I wanted to. Imagine that being on the sea with a fish on and I'm being on that end. All that pressure and stuff like that. They keep going and keep going. I know a mate of mine went to Bristol Channel once, put him on a mark. He went up there, put a whole squid and sand eel bait on. It hooked into the fish and straightened out one of them straight out like that, right? And it's just because of the hook. At the end of the day, it's not
because of the way it's made.
Yeah, I mean, you put a Chinook up against that, you try and bend the Chinook, you're not bending it. Personally, I used to use a bigger Chinook, now I've scaled down a lot with my Chinook size because I was hitting into the blondes, but I think I was missing a lot of the bites for the spotted especially, because it was a bigger hook. Not that I didn't catch spotted on it, so what I've done this year, I've scaled down, and do you know what? I've hooked into every single thing I've got, you know what I mean? If I get a bite, I'm hooking into it, and it's just a really, really strong hook. So yeah, that's what I've done, guys, at the end of the day. But limited edition, once they're gone, they're gone. Basically, the way it works, if you've got like a long flowing trace which acts as a running up and over, and on the other end, you've got a pulley rig. So you can have like a nice little crab bait or a nice little black lug bait on the top hook, and on the bottom hook, you've also got a long flowing trace then to put a nice fish bait or squid bait. Whatever you want, really. I mean, there's nothing to say a cod wouldn't pick up bottom bait.
A little bit of sausage, something like that.
Love a bit of sausage, isn't it? But yeah. So,
Right then, that's enough airtime for you, I reckon. Do you know what I mean? That's 20 minutes, that's at least 30 quid you owe me. Right, guys, obviously when they drop, get on there, do you know what I mean? Snatch them up, because they ain't going to be around for long. And hopefully we'll be getting into the fish too in a bit. Gosh, right then, people, it's all kicking off now. First one's in, Andy's lost one as well. So hopefully there's a few more to come. But yeah, hopefully it's going to be an absolute banger. Right then, we're going to get this one back, and hopefully we'll get ourselves a double in a bit.
the eyes on that.
Let's go! Bosh, right then people. Well, I know it's quite dark, lighting's not great, but yeah, well, what can I say? The weatherman is truly in the bad books. Just started can I say that? Yeah, pissing down with rain. Raining cats and dogs. And obviously it's very windy and that down on the cliffs as well. Didn't have my wet weather gear, so we've had to call it an early night. Unfortunately, no more Ray. I mean, obviously earlier Andy had that Ray. He lost one as well and had a couple of bites. But yeah, I didn't have a bite. Blew up my first reel as well. So I've got to reline the Fathom because that's looks like an absolute mess. But you know, there's a first for everything. It's the first time I've done it. I mean, it made an awful noise as well when the leg cracked off. But you know, it is what it is. It's part of fishing, innit? Still enjoying myself. I got out, had a few casts, didn't get anything, but I've got bait left over. So if I'm going out tomorrow, then I won't upload this, and I'll add it onto tomorrow. But yeah, and then I'll just edit out the end bit. But yeah, other than that, guys, absolute nightmare. Obviously lost the rig, cracked off, had no bites, but you know, I'm still smiling, I still enjoy myself, and yeah, that's that. So hopefully we can get out tomorrow and get a couple of fish in. I'm not too sure what the weather's doing. If it's a little bit of rain, I'll go out. If it's really raining, I won't, because I haven't actually got my waterproofs yet. Mine have got a big split in them. But hopefully, birthday's coming up, so you know, I have told the wife to buy me something nice. So you never know, she might get us one. But yeah, other than that, guys, you know what I mean? You know how we do. If I don't see you before, I'll see you after. And if not, I'll see you on the bank in a bit.